Good morning, all my lovely students. In this series of e-lecture, now we are going to discuss air pollution. And before we understand air pollution, we must know what are primary pollutant and what does secondary pollutant means. So I, Dr. Seema Maheshwari, welcome you all in today's e-lecture, and the topic is primary and secondary air pollution. After going through this lecture, you all will be able to know various primary and secondary pollutants. At first, we discuss a brief idea what the air pollution is. So, air pollution refers to any physical, chemical, or biological change in the air. It is a contamination of air by harmful gases, dust, and smoke which affects the plants, animals, and humans drastically. Or we can say that air pollution is defined as the introduction of pollutants, organic molecules, or other unsafe materials into Earth's atmosphere. This can be in the form of excessive gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, etc. An increase in the composition of these gases is harmful for survival. This imbalance has resulted into Earth's increased temperature, which we have discussed already in previous e-lecture as global warming. We just use the word pollutants. So, pollutants are of two types, primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. So, primary pollutants, these pollutants are directly released as a result of various natural or human activities and causes air pollution. This is the example of primary air pollutant, and sulfur dioxide emitted from factories is a primary pollutant, whereas secondary pollutant formed by the intermingling and reaction of primary pollutants are known as secondary pollutants. So, secondary pollutants are derived from primary pollutants basically. And this is an example of smoke. This is formed by the intermingling of smoke and fog. This is a secondary pollutant. As we see here in this picture, this car, automobile, this is mobile, is creating primary pollutant. This is a natural source of primary pollutant, and this is a stationary, it means factories which are stationary. So these are stationary source of primary pollutants. So all these human made sources, man made sources, or natural, they all are developing, they all are liberating primary pollutants, and secondary pollutants have been formed from the reactions among the primary pollutants. Now, going into details of primary pollutants, we can say primary pollutants include gaseous pollutants and particulate pollutants. And gaseous pollutants include carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxides, chlorofluorocarbon, nitrogen oxides. Then, same as more volatile organic compounds, including benzene, ethylene, etc. Some particulate pollutants like lead, fly ash, nanoparticles, metallic oxides. So, we will discuss here first gaseous pollutants of primary pollutants. So, first is carbon dioxide, and this is the leading pollutant which is known as the world's worst climate pollutant because this has been recognized as greenhouse gas. We have already studied the various after effects of greenhouse gas and global warming. The source is volcanoes, fire, every combustion procedure, etc. This is an asphyxiant gas. Asphyxia is a condition arising when the body is deprived of oxygen, causing unconsciousness or death. High concentration of carbon dioxide inhalation can cause dizziness, headache, etc. Now, sulfur oxide, this has pungent smell. This is colorless gas and produced from volcanic activities, industrial processes, and production of sulfuric acid. It causes respiratory issues, premature death, and death of certain nerves when inhaled. This is one of the cause for concern over the environmental impact of use of the fuels as power sources. Now, nitrogen oxides. Various oxides of nitrogen comes under NOx nitrogen oxides, and particularly we are talking about nitrogen dioxide. This is expelled from high temperature combustion and are also produced during thunderstorms by electrical discharge. It is one of the most prominent air pollutants. This reddish brown toxic gas has a characteristic sharp biting odor which aggravates asthmatic conditions and other respiratory issues in humans and plays a major role in the formation of smoke, acid rain, and the greenhouse effect. We have discussed acid rain and greenhouse effects in details in our previous e-lectures. Carbon monoxide. This is a colorless, odorless, toxic gas. It is a product of incomplete combustion of fuel. Vehicular exhaust contributes to the majority of carbon monoxide let into our atmosphere. It creates a smoke type formation in the air that can cause lung diseases and disruption to the natural environment and animals. Carbon monoxide poisoning causes carboxyhemoglobin, reducing the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. Now, ammonia as primary pollutant. This is emitted mainly by agricultural waste. Ammonia is a compound with the formula NH3, we all know. It is normally encountered as a gas with a characteristic pungent odor. Ammonia contributes significantly to the nutritional needs of terrestrial organisms by serving as a precursor to foodstuffs and fertilizers. Ammonia, either directly or indirectly, is also a building blocks for the synthesis of many pharmaceuticals. Although in wide use, ammonia is both caustic and hazardous. In the atmosphere, ammonia reacts with oxides of nitrogen and sulfur to form secondary particles. In this series of primary pollutants, now we discuss volatile organic compounds. This comprise a large group of carbon-based chemicals that easily evaporates at room temperature, and they have been divided into two types: methane volatile organic compounds and non-methane volatile organic compound, which is NMVOC. So first we discuss about methane volatile organic compound, where methane is an extremely efficient greenhouse gas which contributes to enhanced global warming. Other hydrocarbons are also significant greenhouse gases because of their roles in creating ozone and prolonging the life of methane in the atmosphere. It is responsible for irritation in eyes, skin, nose, and throat. Long term exposure of volatile organic compounds can cause serious damage to liver and other organs. Whereas non methane volatile organic compounds such as benzene, toluene, xylene, these all are carcinogens and may lead to leukemia with prolonged exposure. So these are very, very harmful as primary pollutants. Now, the turn is to talk about chlorofluorocarbons. These are gases which are released from air conditioner, refrigerators, aerosols, sprays, etc. We all discussed about CFCs when we discussed ozone depletion. On release into the air, chlorofluorocarbons rise to the stratosphere. Here they come in contact with other gases and damage the ozone layer. This allows harmful ultraviolet rays to reach the Earth's surface, and this can lead to skin cancer, eye disease, and can even cause damage to plants. Now, particulate pollutants. We all discussed gaseous part of primary pollutant, and the other part, particulate pollutant, we are going to discuss now. The particles that pollute the air by being suspended can be defined as particulate pollutants. These particles are a result of some anthropogenic processes like vehicles, industries, construction sites, activities, etc., or natural sources like pollen, volcanic eruptions, natural gaseous precursors, etc. Their size ranges from 0.001 to 500 micrometers in diameter. Particulate pollutants can do vast damage to the human respiratory system. Particles 2.5 micrometers or less than this are declared as one of the most harmful particulate pollutants by the Central Pollution Control Board, which is known as CPCB. They are so tiny that they can be detected only with the help of an electron microscope. We cannot see them with the naked eyes. These fine particulates can be inhaled deep into the lungs and can cause breathing and respiratory problems, irritation, inflammations, and pneumoconiosis, a disease of the lung caused due to the inhalation of dust. It is characterized by inflammation, coughing, and fibrosis. Fibrosis is excess deposition of fibrous tissue. So lead nanoparticles and fly ash, they all comes under particulate pollutants and we discuss one by one here. Lead. Lead is one of the most hazardous heavy metal we know. Lead can cause serious damage to the human body like nervous system damage, digestive issues, kidney damage, impact on intelligence. Lead mixed with water and food can create cumulative poisoning. It has long term effects on children as it lowers intelligence. Nanoparticles are responsible for the formation of dust clouds, ozone depletion, environmental hydroxyl radical concentration, and stratospheric temperature changes. Fly ash. Fly ash is formed when incineration process is done and when cement industry works at on. Fly ash particles of oxides and other heavy metals. Thermal power plants are a major source of fly ash pollutant. Its deposition in agricultural fields can cause heavy metal contamination of crops and vegetables. The Ministry of Environment and Forest has made it mandatory to use fly ash based products in all construction projects, road embankment works, etc. So, this was all about primary pollutants. Now, we discuss secondary pollutants. And secondary pollutants, the very important secondary pollutant is photochemical smoke. So, as we seen in this picture, this was a picture before Diwali, and this was a picture after Diwali. We know this is India Gate, this is in New Delhi. So, you can see the difference. Here, the building and whole city is covered with photochemical smoke. So, what is this? Let's know about this more. So, this type of air pollution is formed through the reaction of solar radiation with airborne pollutants like nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds. These compounds, which are called primary pollutants, are often introduced into the atmosphere through automobile emissions and industrial processes. Ultraviolet light can split nitrogen dioxide into nitric oxide and monoatomic oxygen. And this monoatomic oxygen can then react with oxygen gas and forms ozone. We all know this process. Products like ozone, aldehydes, and peroxyacetyl nitrates are called secondary pollutants, and the mixture of these primary and secondary pollutants forms photochemical smoke. Both the primary and secondary pollutants in photochemical smoke are highly reactive. These oxidizing compounds have been linked to a variety of negative health outcomes. Ozone, for example, is known to irritate the lungs to a great extent. Now we talk about ground level ozone. It's a highly reactive secondary pollutant. This formation occurs when primary pollutants like hydrocarbon and nitrogen oxide react with sunlight. Ozone irritates people's lung. High temperature and sun both act as catalyst to this reaction, and ground level ozone has adverse effect on people. The effect may be breathing problems, coughing, and irritation to the eyes, nose, and throat. Ground level ozone causes aggravated symptoms to people with asthma, bronchitis, emphysema when they were exposed to that. It also reduces the body's immune system, increasing the tendency for more cold and flu. Acid deposition. This is more about acid rain, and we have discussed acid rain in detail in our previous lecture. It is a type of precipitation, rain, snow, sleet, hail, or fog that has a lower pH than normal. This becomes acid rain. This higher acidity causes problems in ecosystem and the environment and remains one of the major environmental concerns. Acid rain forms when water in the air combines with nitrogen oxides and sulfur oxides and makes their corresponding acids and then falls down the surface of the earth. It has many damaging effects on vegetation, lakes, fish, buildings, and other structures. It also causes respiratory diseases in humans, especially those who have bad health. We have discussed various primary and secondary pollutants in detail. Now I'm leaving you all with a question, which is a very important question, which which is more harmful, primary pollutant or secondary pollutant? So keep thinking. In the next e lecture, we will start with the answer of this question. So By that time, keep thinking and happy learning. Thank you.